Hello and welcome to this real life Klaus video. As I mentioned before my unplanned hiatus, which was recently, if you can see it, is before the UHC stuff, and I did mention I was gonna be sort of busy this summer with sort of like a little tourist guide kind of summer job deal that I had, and yeah, so I wanted to share with you all the places I went to, but the little problem is I did start recording in the real, like sort of real world, as scary as it sounds, and I ran into a couple of problems, mainly because the video I used wasn't really of good quality. So yeah, this is why I'm kind of recording this in Minecraft. And yeah, so the next clip you hear will be me voicing over some of the places I went to, some funny stories that happened, and it'll be of the first trip I had, which was it was all sort of like bits and bobs all over England. I didn't go with the group that I went with in the first part of their trip because they went by themselves. But yeah, the second part was sort of me and a co-driver, which we shall name X, because this person, let's just say we've had some shenanigans. Anyway, yeah, so let's get started and roll the voice clips and slideshow of this. And as a bonus, at the end there is a copy. There is a copy of a clip that I found. It was an outtake, and I didn't delete it off my phone, but it was quite funny, so I left it in anyway. So yeah, enjoy that. And yeah, let's get rolling. Okay, so I should have previously mentioned this. I am speaking to you from beyond like the time I took this trip, but yeah. So I'm gonna start off with the trip. It was a nice June. No, I'm not gonna do any of that. Anyway, behind me are flashing pictures of my first destination on this trip. It was, I think it was Howard Castle or Howard something. It was like a bit beyond. If you like pull up a map, and I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna do this, or I might. I don't know. I'm just gonna go with it. But anyway, so we went to this place called like Howard Castle or Howard something, and I'll probably correct myself on screen. And yeah, the sort of pictures you're seeing us going there. It had a really fancy. It had like a double gate system on the outside. Well, it wasn't. I don't know if it still counts as a gate system on the outside, because it felt like a gatehouse. But then we passed another one that looked exactly the same. So it was like, is it a double gatehouse system, or is it like, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so yeah, this place was, I have no idea what the history was behind it. I'm guessing someone like an earl or baron or like a sir, like someone who was appointed or knighted or whatever used to live here. They had a really nice fountain. It had like the zodiac symbols around like this atlas ball that this person was carrying. It was pretty fancy. You'll probably see that in the background as I'm talking about it. But luscious greenery literally everywhere. And really weird thing, had a time capsule like at this place. The weirdest thing I've seen in a while. Like, I didn't even think time capsules was a thing. Anyway, moving on, like there's pictures of the whole place, like the front of it, the back of it, and yeah. Anyway, the next step the place that we went to on the exactly same day was York. So we went to see, well, what's there to see in York, right? The cathedral, of course. That's all I was good. That's all I was told to take them to. So that's all we're seeing today. There's just a cathedral, and I took a pictures of like the side and stuff. That's like a really nice sort of village area around it, and there was actually a person drawing like funny diagrams I got of like the street that I show you. There's literally on my right. There's a crowd of people like looking at the person drawing, and it was like $5 for a diagram, but yeah, it was a bit too expensive for me. I mean, I'm a broke ass student. Anyway, so yeah, and then we went to Leeds, which was interesting because we got there and it was like maybe an hour before this museum was supposed to close. It was like this like a war museum, but included some of the weirder exhibits that I've seen in a while. Like, you know, you get classic stuff from each dynasty and all that kind of stuff that I can see for you. But it had like an elephant, and I'm pretty sure there's never been like an war elephant in Leeds ever. So I don't have no idea what's doing there. And then it had like a part. Well, I don't have many pictures of this, but there was a part where it was like of modern crime, and I'm like, what? Anyway, so that was the first day. Then the second day, we sort of, well, I say second day, but we sort of went to like Windermere, and they looked around, and I have no pictures of this, so I'm probably just gonna, you know, goof around and do random words on screen and stuff. But yeah, so we drove, and these people, let me tell you, these people don't have a distance concept. You know, they're driving this like big, huge 9-person van, and I'm like, God, I'm covering like 200 miles a day. You know, driving this vehicle that I've not very practiced in, but it's a manual gear shift, and they don't drive manuals. Yeah, watching them drive is pretty hilarious. Anyway, so we arrive in Scotland, and we're at Edinburgh Castle, and we arrived there quite late because it takes us like 4 or 5 hours to drive up there, and we stopped off at Windermere first, and it was a really nice place. I'll show you on the map here. I went to the wrong side of the lake. No, I programmed in Windermere into my phone. Biggest mistake I ever made. Like, went up 45 minutes out of my way to get to this place. The roads were narrow. I could barely get this van down there. And yeah, I was on the wrong side of the river. Anyway, moving on. Edinburgh Castle. So, we got there, and we were going to look around. It was practically not middle of the day. It was like evening time. It was like 4 o'clock, and they were like shutting at, I think it was 5. But yeah, we got up there, we took pictures, and we were looking around at some of these places, and we realized the Edinburgh Castle wasn't like built in one sort of era or age. It was sort of the big bit at the top was built first, and then sort of expanded down. There is like a gate that was like 17th century, and like everything beyond that was like before that, and then the downward bit was made and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you know, the cafe didn't exist in the 17th century, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure the cafe didn't exist. And you know, the paved roads smoothed down by the cars, pretty sure that didn't exist in the 17th century either. But, yeah, it's all good. It's a really nice place to visit. We had this photo that I am putting up right now. I'm probably going to edit this. I may not edit this. I don't know. But in the hand of the person to the right, it's not a person, it's a dummy. We literally X. This is what we're talking about. So we went in with them. We're the drivers. We, you know, at first he said he didn't really want to go in. He had a rough night the night before, didn't sleep well, and he was like, "Yeah, let's go in anyway." So, as a joke, he put his iPhone in the dummy's hand, and like literally no one was there. He put it in his hand, and we just like snapped a picture before he took it out. And it was like 2 seconds. So we were very careful in placing it in the mannequin's hand, and you know. It's the funniest thing, because if you look at it, it really doesn't look out of place, except there is an iPhone 6 in the guy's hand. It's just, you know, casually. Anyway, so we went to there was a chapel on the inside, and, you know, it was memory and all that, and it's got like a scribed bit at the top, and I'm actually going to be using some of this inspiration on this trip for, like, future builds and stuff in Minecraft, but yeah. Anyway, we went down to see like sort of like the prison-y area, and we're just like, ew. Like, it wasn't ew as such, it was ew that it actually smelled of urine. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure someone's just peed in the corner and nobody's cleaned it up. But yeah, simulates the smell, right? Immersive behavior. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna show some pictures of like bunks that we're in, and I'm like, and you know, when people say like top bunk or bottom bunk, look at the size of these like beds. Literally, if I laid, I didn't lay in these, okay? Don't get me wrong, I didn't touch these exhibits. If I laid down next to them, they were literally up to my kneecaps from the top of my head. So the bottom, like, third of me would have to be physically cut off like a bone saw to get into that bottom bunk. And I'm like, is it better to be in the top bunk or the bottom bunk at this point, since this place, smells funny? It's apparently disease was rampant in these places, and they just didn't really give a damn. Anyway, this last picture, obviously this was not part of like Edinburgh Castle. It was a dinky little thing. It was a little like it was spliced sort of like a rickshaw and like a little van at the back, and it was adorable to look at. I took a picture of it. Anyway, and then there's this horrendous picture. You know what? I'm not even going to show you this. Yeah, I'm going to show you this one since I mentioned it. It's the front of the castle, and the day was getting quite low. The sun was behind the castle. Didn't really see much. So yeah. And then we exit the castle. We see like the rest of, I don't know what it's called. I think it's like Royal Mile or something like that. I'm going to correct myself probably. I might not. Anyway, so later on that evening, everyone settled into the hotel, which, by the way, this hotel in the middle of literally nowhere. As in, we drove out of Edinburgh for like half an hour until we hit the sort of like sea or inlet, and then we just kind of drove along the inlet for like 2 minutes, and then it was just like on the beach. But there was no houses near it, and there was like trees around this place. It looked like a rundown area, and we're just like, you know what, we're gonna get murdered, we're gonna turn up on the news, our hands are gonna be cut off, our heads are gonna be detached. But yeah, there was a caravan site apparently up the road, not so far away, but it would just look really run down. But then people were really nice there. We experienced what I think most people would call like Aberdeen hospitality. Is it Aberdeen? No, Scottish hospitality, which is basically they insult you, but in a friendly way, which is great. Anyway, so the picture I have like passes behind me was like the sunset of that evening, and keeping in mind this was like 11 a.m., which was the weirdest thing because we normally don't see the sun, and then suddenly it's going down at 11 p.m. We're documenting the behaviors of this big ball of gas in the sky that we've never seen before. Anyway, so the next day we're going around a bit more of Edinburgh. We're seeing the statue, which is the weirdest thing. I thought someone was like inside that teepee looking thing behind the cobra, but there wasn't. And there was no one around, and there was just a pot in front of it. And we're just like, what? Are you expecting us to, pay to photograph this thing? I'm like, granted, I popped a 50p in, but it's just like, I don't know what to do, because normally, there's a person there doing something, and then, they point at the pot, and then you give them a bit of money if you take a picture. If not, don't have to. But like, I was just like, what is this? What is this symbol? Someone explained this to me, and I was just really confused. Anyway, this next one was, so we'd left Edinburgh at this point, and we are going towards a place called the Isle of Skye, or the Skye, something, the Skylands, or whatever. We had to go through the Highlands, essentially. And if anyone has ever driven through the Highlands listening to this, probably can testify how hard it is to drive through this area without, speeding in a normal car. In a van full of like 7 other people, it was even harder because this thing's brakes didn't do so well, and I'm just like going around these corners like, oh, that's a bit sharper than it would have, and like, oh, lorry coming around, and like, oh god. Anyway, we turned up at like this, I am gonna just fall on my face with these names. Anyway, I'm gonna put the name up of this place. I think it's like Eleanor or Elysior or something castle, and this place was, it looked like a proper castle. It was like on an island by itself. There was one point of entry. There was no docks, no bays, but like, I don't think it was connected to the sea. So it was like rocks everywhere around this area. So like you can't get near it with boats, you couldn't do anything to it, and like it looked like a watch out tower at most, and it was just insane. But some of the prettiest pictures I took on this trip, like just across the water, and it was like the sun was high in the sky, it reflected. I thought it was quite good. I mean, these were taken on a phone, for Pete's sakes. Some of these are quite good. Yeah. Anyway, so we decided, we get to the Isle of Skye, and we looked at the map that evening, and X informs me that the next sort of 2 sets of destinations are on opposite sides of this peninsula that we went to. And I'm like, oh no, please don't do this to me. We can't drive that far, because between the 2 points was 150 miles of, it was literally, the peninsula had 2 roads. One went to one set of destinations and the other went to the other set, and it was horrendous to drive because it was just backwater roads, which was just water roads that were big enough for a normal car, and there were passing points. I never took a picture of this because I didn't think I'd actually be sat down making this video, but the picture I've got behind me, it's the weirdest thing, because you can't really tell from the photos of which I'm scrolling through, but the clouds were sort of, that when you got a fog machine and it descends to a lower level, if it looked like that, it was rolling down a slope, but it was happening on such a level that we were thinking what, this looks like the gates of hell have opened, and demons are being summoned. We were joking around, of course. Maybe. I don't know what happens in Scotland. Maybe this is true, happens on a nightly basis, I don't know. So that night we went to, I think it was Points of something. I am butchering these places. But yeah, I'm going to put up a place of where this place is on a peninsula. You know what? I'm going to do it for every area that I next moved on to. So this lighthouse is way out there. You see that white building in this picture, way off in the distance? That's where the lighthouse was. And it's the most, I think it's the most northwest point of this peninsula, or it was the point that was way out there. And let me tell you, it looks bright here. It was 10 o'clock. This was taken at 10 p.m. at night, and you're it barely looks past noon, right? It's so weird. But let me tell you, this next close up of this photo, nearly lost my phone out of my hands. The wind was just terrible. We literally got out of the van and the door just swung open and it hit the back of the hinge, and we're like, what? Luckily, I bought my snowboarding jacket, which I didn't know I needed. Anyway, so yeah, in this picture, the person in the purple, it's not actually a jacket, it's a blanket. The person didn't come in a windproof coat, so he just kind of grabbed the jacket from X's car and he just wrapped it around him. But yeah, so on the way back we stopped off and took a couple more pictures, and that's actually X in this photo in front of his car, luckily blocking his license plates, but it actually looks quite nice. And then there's a couple of photos after that. I can understand why this place was called Isle of Skye or Island in the Sky or whatever. It just looked like a piece of land above the clouds. It was magnificent. Don't get me wrong, the places that we went to were absolutely lovely, stunning, breathtaking, whichever word you want to use for it. Would absolutely go back there again, because a lot of them were bikers, and I would love to go on these roads and have a nice bike and that kind of deal. But yeah, so forward to the next morning. We are going to sort of the place called Kilt Rock, and there was Old Man of Store, and there was another place, and yeah, anyway, Kilt Rock was different, shall we say. When we got there, there was apparently there's a cliffside that looks like a kilt, which is in the background of this picture, and we can't get in closer than this because it was still quite windy, and nobody wanted to fall. We are on sort of a viewing area of this rock, and then you sort of lean over the back, like railing, and you sort of hear go and I'm like, what is that? Is that a generator? Does someone have a generator out here? And it's not. It's the rocks whistling, and it's like you see this waterfall like in the foreground of this photo and possibly the next photo and whichever however more I decide to leave. But it's like the rocks were humming because I think it was like air or something rushing through it. It was really weird. I mean, it was like you stood there and go, ooh, this is kind of, the sort of the hills are alive with music. It wasn't really music, but it was just like, it felt very zen, if you know what I mean. Sort of. Not very zen at all. Just some guy sat at a computer bull crapping his way through. Anyway, so the next few photos was taken at this, it was meant to be a waterfall here. We never found this waterfall. I'm pretty sure we didn't walk far enough to find this waterfall. Don't get me wrong. We found some other stuff. So, actually, you know what? I think I found the waterfall, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a waterfall. like you see like a picture of the sheep right now. It is this photo. It's not as good resolution because I had to zoom in. It was just a sheer rock face on one side, and it was like a valley, and we're just like, where is this waterfall? Anyway, so I'm just like, it's just like a sheer fall on one side, and I'm looking over to like the far side where the road is, and it's like, no way, that's flat, right? And then there's just like sort of this cut in the area, and this next photo was where I went back onto the road, walked down a bit, sort of climbed down into sort of this where I thought was where the river would be, and I'm just like, oh, it's here, and presumably that's the waterfall, like down the river. That's what I'm pointing to, and yeah, that's another picture of the waterfall. I'm like, nobody came with me though. I'm just like, I want to see this waterfall. I came to see a waterfall. Like, it was pretty funny. It's a bit danky, but yeah. And then on the way out, we were leaving sort of the peninsula at this point, and we had to come in the same area, but like these views were stunning, and just, it was breathtaking all the way. Just, if you ever get the chance to go see the Highlands, do it. Also, saw a wild pheasant. Don't get to do that very often. But this wasn't in the Highlands. This was the next sort of area now, and it was, I want to say, Glasgow? I want to say Glasgow, but it's in an area before we got to Glasgow. I don't remember the place. I will put it up in words. If you're watching this, just read the words on screen. Because, yeah. That's where we saw it wasn't a pheasant. It was this thing in the photo, and it's not very clear what it is, but it looks like a grouse. It looks like the bird-looking thing on the front of a whiskey bottle here, and I think it's a grouse. But yeah, so this sort of castle-y area, sort of plantation thing, had a beach, dude. Like I'm talking beachfront property. Oh wait, you know what? I remember a bit of the history. It was, oh wow, it was one of the presidents. I think it was, no, it wasn't Theodore. It was one of the presidents. I'm gonna flash it on screen. Apparently came to this place a couple of times, and yeah, so there we go. This is apparently highly prized of this area. Anyway, so we move into Glasgow, and this is sort of where I'd like to say things get out of hand. Because at this point, me and X have been driving, like, we do long distance, but we don't do like long distance over multiple days. So we've slept badly, we've been roomed with a guy who, like, it sounds like a rhinoceros chewing through tree trunks when he snores. So I think he has a bit of sleep apnea. We don't want to tell him anything on this, but like, he's probably not gonna understand any of this anyway. But like, he sounds like a rhinoceros chewing through stuff, and it's damaged our sleep pattern quite a bit. So we're like at the end of our ropes at this point. This is like Glasgow Central Station, and we were going down to, oh god, I have absolutely blanked where this photo is taken, but it's like a wall mural. And the guy stood there in the lamppost and the floating taxi. Well, the floating taxi is not real at all. Like, you can see the sun shining off it, but the person on the lamppost looked fantastic. And it was really rare find because we were walking down the street next to the central station, and we just saw this on the wall. And then we went around a bit more of Glasgow. There was I think it was like Central Square, something like that. I don't have any of these like written down. I'm just going by memory right now. And like, we went here and it was great. And then literally across from this square, we went in to find some bathrooms. There was like a really stylish bar. As in, you see in this photo, it had a domed roof. It looked like a cathedral. And I'm just like, there's a bar in here. Like, there is food served. There is a nice atmosphere. People looked at me funny when I walked in because I looked kind of dirty and probably like lost. But yeah, that looked sort of like one of the homeless children. But anyway, so walked around Glasgow a bit more, and yeah, and then we moved on. We moved on from Glasgow, and we went towards, I've forgotten where it is. I'm gonna fill in these details because I'm just kind of looking through like the photo album, just speaking of like stuff. But yeah, so we went along the beach, and we were heading towards where we were gonna drop him off at the port. But yeah, so this is where I'm gonna sort of leave part one. I want to say, yeah, we're gonna leave part one here because there is another part to it. And no, wait, actually, yeah, this is where I'm going to leave part one, because the next trip is basically they've crossed from Scotland into Ireland. They've gone to Ireland for 2 days because there's no space in the van for me to drive, so someone else had to drive, which apparently turned out very badly because they stalled multiple times. And yeah, anyway, so me and X got into his car and we left. We left them at the port. We saw them get on the boat. We got shouted at by security, which was okay. Calm down. I've instinctively said I'm not going with them. I'm translating for them. You're in a car full of people who don't speak English, so I need to make sure everything's in order before you kick me out. Essentially, lady was an absolute tight. Anyway, so yeah, we leave and we have 2 days of rest while they're in Ireland, and X goes on his holiday. Next time we come back in the next episode, I'm going to talk about where we pick up, where we pick off. So we meet them back in Holyhead in Wales, and that's where we're going to pick up next. If you're still with me at this point, congratulations, you got to the end of the video. And if you like these sort of rambly story types, because there's at least 2 more coming, yeah, drop a like, drop me a comment if you like them. If not, dislike, give me a heads up as well. Anyway, so thank you for joining me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.